Social class perspective. Social class perspective is focused on the way in which societies are organized and how it determines human history and the ways of thinking. Look at the pictures. Can you identify the social class of the main character? How would you describe this way of life? What are the conditions that he has to live in order to survive? Well, I'm going to talk about social class perspective. It is focused on the ways in which the society are organized and how it determines human history, social, economical, and political aspects, and ways of thinking, values, perception, and beliefs. It allows people to comprehend that the same situation could be particularly understood by people from different social classes. The critical has to take into account factors like power and advantage in order to understand what happened and why. In the story, it is possible to identify the main character belongs to the low class. All the street singers belong to this class, and the woman with whom he has an affair represents the high class. The scene in which the singer hurts the baby, in contrast to one in which man knocks on the door. The difference between how the singer refers and talks to a unknown woman who apparently lives in a better place, and the way the singer deals with his wife and the conditions in which they live, focuses in the disposition of the elements of the house and the infrastructure. The author is trying to show the difference between these characters through the place in which they live, and the image of the street expresses the difference between the classes. Look at this picture. This picture is related with your reality. What is your reaction to this image? Now, we're going to watch a video about the reality in our society, in our country, Colombia.
For the first time in her life, Catherine Ceballos and her family live in poverty. Just 6 months ago, they had a comfortable 2-story home in Venezuela, where she's from. But as the economic crisis there deepened, she decided to give it all up for this: a home adapted from the ruins of an abandoned neighborhood in the northern Colombian town of Manatí. Her roof is an old and punctured metal sheet. She sleeps on the floor with her husband so their children can have the comfort of a dirty old foam mattress. They have no running water. Still, she wouldn't go back to Venezuela. At least in Colombia, her children eat.
We had everything, a comfortable bed, we slept well. But there is no food. When the children got sick, we struggled to find medicine. There is no jobs. We also tried to sell fruit in Venezuela, but what we earned wasn't enough for us to eat. Here, even if we sell a few mangoes, it's worth something.
Catherine is one of the more than 1,500 Venezuelans who have settled in this part of town known as Villa Matí. It was once used for social housing, but the neighborhood was evacuated in 2010 when it was flooded by heavy rains. 6 months ago, it started to come back to life, this time with poor Venezuelan immigrants looking for low-skilled jobs and the basic necessities they lack back home.
Venezuelans are by far the poorest inhabitants of this Colombian town. To receive help from the government for food, health, and education, they must go back to Venezuela and re-enter the country legally. But these families don't have enough money to make that trip. They just live on barely $2 a day.
Regional authorities are convinced this is a humanitarian crisis and are asking the central government for additional resources.
We've
done everything possible here. We've received the immigrant children in our schools, in our childhood programs where they are fed. But that has increased the quota in our towns, and the organizations that run these programs don't have the means to keep providing for their food. It's based on a budget allocated by the government for each municipality, and Colombians must come first.
Many of these immigrants are descendants of Colombians who moved to Venezuela decades ago. But as illegal immigrants, there's no way to prove their Colombian nationality. Meanwhile, the emotional pain of being separated from their loved ones haunts many.
I don't even talk to my parents back home. Sometimes I want to ask someone to bring them here, because I don't have the means to bring them with me. My husband is from around here, yet he still doesn't have the capacity to bring them.
Many people here dream of the moment when they can head back to Venezuela, but most face the reality of that not happening in their lifetimes. Instead, they focus on building a better life, even if it's one in poverty. Mariana Palau, TRT World, Manatí, in northern Colombia.
As a conclusion, I want to say that the way in which the main character lives and what he does to live, we can relate it to the way many people live in our time and in our country, because some of them have to sing a song in Transmilenio to live. This is a social economical perspective that we can visualize in the story. In addition, we can relate it to the political party when part of these people are foreigners and show us their need to have money as of the main character. Likewise, another social aspect is the way in which the main character treats his wife and his son. He doesn't care about his wife or his son. He just wanted to get drunk and to get money. In the story, it's possible to identify that the main character belongs to the low classes and the woman with whom he has an affair represents the higher classes.